just switching it up. Yay!
Alright, so we need to mark the corrugated sheet metal in order to cut it. And so for this particular depth of garden box, I'm going to mark 8 inches. And so I've marked 8 inches coming up from the other end. I'm going to finish marking a couple of pieces here, and then we'll cut it. So I'm just marking the tops of the corrugation. Making sure I have a starting and an ending mark that's easy to see. Alright, and then we'll cut this using a grinder and just a little metal cutting bit. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I've already cut the boards in half for the end pieces, and now I'm going to cut the miter on the ends of those. So 45-degree angle on your miter saw, and we're going to cut both ends of that. You want to make sure that you're cutting the same side so that you don't end up with your board where you can't use it. So we'll do that real quick. Line that up, get that level. Hey, safety second. Better put those on. Whew, I can't see. That's better. Alright, so we'll flip the board end to end. We don't want to turn it over that way. We want to keep it this end out. We'll line that up, and we want to make our miter cut even with the edge of the board. So we're ready? Alright, now when we get the rest of it cut, we'll butt these together and we'll have our structure. Alright, so we got all our miters cut, and now we're assembling the frame. So we're just standing them up, putting the mitered ends together and driving in some 2-inch screws. turn the frame over. Finish up the other side. Alright, now we got the miter ends put together. Get that baby back down. And we're ready to start attaching the sides of the garden box to the frame, and then we'll come back and show you how that's done. Before we put the garden box sides on, we've got to have some corners. And here locally I was not able to find any corner brackets that I could use. Some people have used some 10-foot pieces of corner bracket, galvanized, or there's another fancy word for it, and I'll put that fancy word right here. It means like painted. It's like a bonded paint. It's kind of like galvanizing, but I just don't remember what that is. Anyway, I couldn't find that, so instead I found this roll of galvanized, 50-foot galvanized flashing. It's 8 inches wide. And so I am going to use this to make our corner pieces. Wearing some gloves because the edges of this galvanized metal are pretty sharp. You don't want to get cut by that. Maintain control at all times. Okay, so what we're going to do here is cut 8-inch pieces to match our 8-inch sides, and then we're going to bend those in half. Thank you. And we'll need 4 of these in order to complete the garden box. So make our marks at 8, 16, 24, 32. And I'll mark the other side so that we can get a nice straight edge. Alright, so in order to cut these, we use a pair of tin snips. That'll get the job done. You know, this is just not very exciting. So let's try something more exciting.
Oh no.
Oh no! That was more exciting. Okay, let's go over and bend these corner pieces. Okay, so taking our pieces, I've marked our center line, and I've rigged up this little jig so we can bend. This is our end result. We mark our center line, we place the galvanized sheet metal in our bending jig, line it up with the edges and the center line. Hold this down and we just bend it over. That's all there is to it. Make a nice little corner there. And we just do that 4 times. Thank you. And now we have our corner pieces ready. Go ahead. In order to fasten the pieces in the corners together, we're using some self-tapping screws. They are made for this roofing sheet metal, so they just cut right through. They have a hex head on them, but they come with a bit that you can put on. And so we just take our corner pieces, we set them up in the corner, and then we take our galvanized, we set it right in there, get everything lined up. And then at about halfway through our 2x3, we just drive in this screw, hold it right in. We just go right through the side piece and the corner piece all in one shot, and we'll get it together. So here we go. That's all there is to it. So as you go around, you just set your pieces in. You're going to have some overlap. Generally, as you're going up the sides, you're just going to overlap about a wave and a half. There are times, though, as you get down to the ends, depending on the length of how everything works out, you may have to flip this over in order to get the right kind of an alignment. Because as you set this in here, as you can see, that's not going to work out very well. And if we shift to where it does meet, you might have too much left off of the end that you don't want. So you can just turn these over, and then we're tight into the corner, and our waves line up. We just hit the 2 pieces, again with the self-tapping screw. And that's all there is to it. We'll go on around and finish that up. got the sides on, we're ready to flip it over so we can start working on the top. So here we go, I'm going to grab that in. Again, be careful. The edges of this galvanized metal that you've cut, very sharp. Alright, now we're ready to work on the top. Since I couldn't find 5-foot cedar fence boards locally, they had 6-footers and 4-footers. I went ahead and grabbed the 4-footers because the 6-footers really made a significant price jump. So I'm trying these, we'll see how it works out. I may just go with the 6-footers next time. We'll just see. So our corners aren't really going to match up because our bed is 4 foot wide and the fence board plank is 4 foot wide also. So we're going to match up to the edges. So we're going to have this kind of funny looking shape. So in order to make it look better and fit everything together nicely, I'm going to make a few cuts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down 1 inch, and I'm going to mark that off 1 inch down, and I'm going to duplicate this dog ear in the fence as soon as I can get it on here, right? I'm going to duplicate that dog ear for a cut. So that'll be one cut. Then we'll at least have a match here. Then I'm going to come in. I don't want to even it up. I want about 1.5 inches on the outside, and then I want the rest to sit on the 2x3 and then hang over the to cover the corrugated metal. And so I'm going to just come back 1.5 inches from the edge, make a mark, and then once we get our alignment here, then I'm going to take a 45-degree cut, and I'm going to cut this out, and then we're also going to make this same cut on the long side. So let's flip those around, and since we already have the dog ear, I won't cut that, but we'll measure in. We'll measure in 1.5 inches. Make our mark. We'll get our 45 on here. And now these two pieces will fit together nicely. So you can see if we line up our edges here. We'll have a nice corner. It'll be cut off here. Match up here. We'll have a little nook there, but you know, hey, make the best of what we got, right? Alright, so now we're going to go and cut these. Since I'm still setting the shop back up, the chop saw didn't really work out very well to cut these planks. They're just too wide for that small miter saw. So here, using a 12-inch radial arm saw and using a square and a clamp, setting my alignment, 45-degree angle, and this makes quick work of the ends of the boards, cutting that so that we can fit the boxes together. So we got that cut. We'll line this up. We'll see how this is going to turn out. There we go. Not too bad. So once we get this screwed down, we'll get the other ends cut. We'll screw this together, and this will kind of be what we'll be looking at. We got all of the cedar boards cut, angled, and we're going to attach them then to the frame. So we'll get this lined up here. And the screws that I'm using, they're 1.25 inches, and they do have a hex T25 star head on them. But these particular screws are self-tapping, so they have a little, you can see that there, they have a little cut in them, and so they kind of drill out the wood as they're going in. They drive in, I mean, they just go in smooth and they stick in there tight. It's really nice. First time I've used these and I really like them. All right, so we'll get the next one on here. That 1.5 inch offset that we marked before, using that to line up to the outside of our 2x3s. So we match these together. Under 2x3 and just sink those babies just straight on in. Now on the other side, we'll line up that 1.5 inch mark. Drive that in. It's nice and solid. The only other spot that we need to do is down here at the end of the sideboard. That's pretty much it. I'll probably put in a couple here. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to keep them from bowing. Alright, I'm going to go around and finish attaching these, and we'll come back and see what it's looked like when we're finished. Thanks. Alright, ready? Can you get it? Don't drop it on your toe. Might chop your toes off. Doing okay?
Yeah,
Keep it straight. Oop, there you go. Almost there. All right. All right. There's the first one. It's in place, sort of. We'll tweak it a little bit, get the location right, but we're planning to put several out there. And say hi. And we'll add that to this new garden space that we've set up. Okay, we have some additional boxes built. This one's filled. Here we're leveling the boxes out. We are shoring up around the edges where the ground doesn't meet exactly right. Because what I found by putting in the first one is if you don't have something around the edges, it will bow out at the bottom when you put your dirt in. So we're leveling out the bottom of the boxes. We had some low spots where the tiller starts, and so we're filling those in and shoring up the edges where there were some gaps on the outside. And then we'll come down here and make some more dirt.